Hey everybody, Rosemary here, and welcome to part 79 of my Umineko Let's Play. In the last episode, got into more about how Yasu, Shannon, at this point I am assuming that they are one and the same person, how they kind of like, it seemed like they separated from themselves and became the servant Shannon, but also like the witch Beatrice. And there was also Beatrice trying to bring Shannon into her world, into like the dream world, the witch's world, what have you, the golden land. But Shannon is being kept in the real world by, friendship and love, essentially, which Beatrice can't understand. And I think that was that point when Beatrice, she kind of like had this hatred towards people in love because she can't understand it. So we're going to get more into, I guess, like Shannon's backstory, her relationships with everybody, and see like where it takes us next. So without further ado, let's get back into the story.
Dozo, お足元にお気をつけになって。
ありがとう船長さん。お体本当に大事になさってね。
わしの友人にな、肩こりによく効くっちゅうのを商ってるのがおるんや。次の時試供品もらってくるで。
いえいえ、お気遣いをありがとうございます。
ほらガキども、いつまではしゃぎ回ってやがる。
All right, let's see who's going to be here. So it's good to have a family all back together. I'm just wondering, what year is this? Is this, when the kids are still very young?
とっとと降りろい。
ほらマリア、ママと一緒にお船を降りましょうね。
Maria, who Rosa led by the hand, was still too young for kindergarten. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that answers my question. So, does that mean we're going to get to see little baby Angie? Little baby Badler? However, she seemed to notice her cousins, whom she rarely ever saw, were playing all around her, and she was very excited. Oh, like little Jessica? Younger George? Badler and George had the energy of middle school or nearly middle school kids. Those two, along with Jessica, who had met up with them on Nijima, were making a lot of noise on the deck. Oh, Asumu. Oh, shit. Okay, we're gonna get to see her too, perhaps. Oh, this is gonna be weird. He doesn't have Kyrie with him. Rudolph lent an arm to his wife, Asumu.
ようこそ六軒島へ。長旅を大変お疲れ様でございました。
The whole family had gathered for the conference. Oh, okay. Angie, I was about to say Angie wouldn't be here yet because he hasn't been with Kyrie. At this point in time, Rudolph's wife was still Asumu, and Angie hadn't been born. Goda and Cannon hadn't yet been employed by the Ushirimiya family. Okay, and that explains... Okay, so Cannon has not shown up yet. So Cannon, I guess he is a separate person. And the witch's epitaph, which would toy with the family's fate, hadn't appeared yet. They probably couldn't even imagine the bizarre crime that awaited them several years in the future. This is so strange to come back so far back in time.
親族の方々がご到着なさいました。
では、私は親父殿に声をかけ
And
てくるとしよう。
Kinzo's still alive.
お願いします。
And he'll actually join them?
私は皆様方をお迎えします。
So, like, they're still stressed out because of the family conference, but they're not as stressed out because they don't have to hide the fact that Kinzo's dead.
あ、シャノン、この窓枠を掃除したのは誰ですか？まだ埃があるではありませんか。大急ぎで拭きなさい。
かしこまりました、奥様。
Oh, come on. Natsui is making her work so hard again. Just what good does she find in such a fussy, ulcer-inducing life? I wanted to know. Okay, so this is Yasu as Beatrice. Shannon, what is it that you found? And what did you mean when you said I already knew what I was missing? Shannon, is this something I must learn by learning about you?
親族会議の日の六軒島は
普段と何が違うのだろう。
I am still a little confused about this because it does seem like Shannon is Yasu, considering that like Shannon was the one who was like in her room. There was nobody else with her. She's the one who was reading the novels, talking to Kumasawa, which is what Yasu was doing.
それは絶対これだけの子供が集まることはないものね。
大人たちにとっては緊張感を強いられる日だったろうけれど、僕たち子供にとっては仲良しのいとこたちと一度に会える素敵な日だったね。
夏はいとこたちで海ではしゃいだし、冬は冬でいろいろゲームをして遊んだっけ。俺たちにとっては親族会議ってのは楽しいもんだったぜ。
それは私もだぜ。母さんなんかは粗相があってはダメとかうるさかったけど、私にとってもいとこみんなで遊べる楽しい日だった。何しろ普段の六軒島には何もねえんだから。
すげえお屋敷に住んでたり、プライベートビーチがあったり、ガキの頃は羨ましいと思ってたけど、ジェシカの身になって考えるとさぞや窮屈だったと思うぜ。
だろうね。六軒島には本当に何もない。友達の家もお隣もご近所もない。ジェシカちゃんの気持ちを考えると少し気の毒に思うよ。
だから私にとっては親族会議の日は本当に特別な日。はしゃいでふざけて、まるでお祭りの日みたいな気持ちだった。徹底的に悪ふざけの限りを尽くしたぜ。
大人たちは小難しい話ばかりで、あっちで遊んでなさいってことになったなら。
年の近いいとこたちが3人はしゃぎ回らないわけがない。
いいや、3人じゃない、4人だったよ。
エンジェは生まれてないし、マリアはまだ
That's
一
gotta
緒に
be
遊べるよ
Shannon.
うな年じゃないわ。
違うよフルフル。年が近いのはいとこだけじゃないよ。
シャノンちゃんだよ。
All right, now this is where we probably see the thing because they said middle school age. So this is probably the last time that Badler was at the conference before he was just gone for 6 years. So this is where we maybe get to see like it's been referenced and stuff, but like the moment where he said that he was like going to come back for her. This might be the moment here where Shannon, Yasu, whoever, Beatrice, because now that like Yasu says that she is Beatrice and it seems like Shannon is Yasu, this may be the moment that changed everything.
彼女も俺らと同じくらいの年だったからな。
母さんが使用人のことは話すなとうるさかったけれど、私とシャノンは少しずつ交流を深めていったよ。六軒島で最も年が近い唯一の女の子だったんだから。
It seems like maybe Yasu is, although it is hard. You guys told me like to, like I said, the game is presenting itself in one way when like I saw like Yasu or their point of view, and then seeing Shannon. So that's what threw me off. But so maybe like Yasu represents that part of Shannon that broke away and became like the witch. Didn't want to be a servant anymore. But it's more of a metaphor than an actual person.
僕たちとシャノンの4人は仲良しだったんだ。親族会議の時はいつも楽しく遊んでいたよ。ね、シャノン。
はい。
Oh, George, and then just thinking about like, your feelings for her. But I mean, if she is the child from 19 years ago, that actually makes her closer in age to George. But George doesn't know that.
奥様に知られればお叱りを受けることと分かってはおりましたが。
叱らせなんかしねえぜ。シャノンはずっと私の気持ちを唯一理解してくれる親友だったぜ。
ありがとうございます、お嬢様。
I could not hide my shock. How had she formed a relationship with the children of the family, despite being only a servant? Natsu had probably been very careful to prevent such a relationship. However, it's no surprise that Jessica, all alone on this island, would want to be friends with a kid of her own age. And Shannon was also alone on this island without any friends her age. Though they both understood their relationship as master and servant, they somehow managed to strike up a friendship. Then, at the family conference, Jessica had introduced Shannon to George and Badler. All the adults had their hands full with the complicated discussions in the mansion. During that time, Shannon was able to put aside her role as a servant for a little bit and act her age with Jessica, George, and Badler. I had no idea that Shannon had constructed this new world so quickly. As a butterfly hiding in the shadows, I observed this new world of Shannon's.
あの日も僕らはバラ庭園を、そして浜辺を駆け回ったよ。
ただ駆け回ってふざけ合うだけが最高に楽しかったな。
だな。この時ばかりはシャノンちゃんも年相応の笑顔を見せてくれたぜ。
ちょっとはしゃぎすぎてたかもです。お恥ずかしい。
今でこそバトラも立派な身長だけど、当時は私やシャノンの方が背が高いし力も強かったっけ。
Did they beat on Badler?
当時の俺は成長がちょいと遅かったからな。
All the more reason why you can understand they'd be so surprised by like how tall he got. Like, holy cow. You know, he was, what, 12 years old back then?
成長が遅い方の方が背は伸びると聞いたことがあります。
そうだろうな。
Look at her blushing.
シャノンちゃんの胸もあの頃は全然こんなじゃなかったもんな。
そんなことはないよ。
George is like, believe me, I was looking.
シャノンだってあの頃からもう
ew, womanly
女性の魅
charm.
力を持ち始めてたよ。
George. Blech.
どうでしょう。
女性の魅力ってなん
Yeah, right? Jessica. Thank you, girl. You're on my side.
いやあの頃はまだ俺も可愛かったな。夏服の肩からちらりと見える紐に青い春の稲妻を感じたもんだぜ。ジョージの兄貴と一緒にシャノンちゃんの胸はいくつくらいか夜にこそこそと話し合ったのが懐かしいぜ。
I don't know why, but somehow, like, I don't know, Badler being more upfront about being kind of like gross about it is somehow, maybe just because I like Badler better than George. Then when George trying to be all flowery with his language, I'm just like, ew. Somehow George just puts me off more than Badler.
そうなんですか、ジョージ様。
おそらくは大いに誤解のある話だと思うよ。僕は男女の成長の違いについて人生の先輩として講義をした記憶はあってもいとこ同士での夜のワイ談はむしろ健全な発育の証であって、その
いやー、みんなでいとこ部屋で深夜になるまでそういう話をしてたっけな。隣のクラスの誰々がキスをしたらしいとか、サマーキャンプで素敵だなと思ってたこと手をつなげちゃったとか、誰々は自分に気がありそうでとかなんとか。いやー、なんか恥ずかしくて全身が痒くなってきたぜ。
いいじゃないか。それもまた青春の甘酸っぱい1ページ。
男女を意識し合うところから一番最初のピュアな恋が生まれるの。
ただ男女で一緒にいたいだけというとてもシンプルでピュアで、それでいて高潔な。
素敵だわ。年頃の少年少女たちが愛の世界を思い浮かべながら語り合う。そんなこともありましたでしょうか。
何をとぼけてるんだか。耳まで真っ赤になりながらもシャノンちゃんが一番興味津々って感じだったじゃねえかよ。興
味津々なんてことはありませんでした。私は皆さんよくいろいろなことをご存知だなと。
うん、シャノンが一番かまととぶってて、そのくせ興味津々だった。一番むっつりスケベだった。
そんなことありません。そんなことありません。お嬢様嫌いです。
そう、いつもこんな感じ。昼は子供らしくはしゃぎ合い、夜は枕を寄せて秘密の話に花を咲かせた。
Oh, that makes me nostalgic back in like the days, you know, when we'd have not family conferences were not important enough for that, but like, family get-togethers for the holidays and a big family and all the cousins getting to see each other. And then as adults, it's very hard to do that. It's making me so nostalgic.
それら全部をひっくるめてどれも懐かしいね。
エッチな話をひそひそして親の足音が近づいてきたらガバッと布団に潜って寝たふりしたりとかあったな。
あったあった。修学旅行かっつーの。
全員同時にガバッと隠れる感じ、暗黙のルールみたいな感じというか、妙な連帯感というか、あの感じがすごい好きでした。
ま、とにかくそういう話だけじゃなかったよ。他にもいろいろあった。僕たちはまさに青春を謳歌し合っていたよ。
And there's just Yasu, just
なんだというのか。
off in the corner, just watching all this, not being a part of it. Shannon, is that the fun thing of the human world? Is this incomprehensible messing around the thing that you found?
子供同士が群れてバカバカしい遊びに熱中し、くだらぬ話題で盛り上がる。これがそなたの見つけた魔女の閲楽にも勝る人間の閲楽だというのか。
はい、あなたにはこれが楽しくは見えませんか？
退屈とは言わぬ。だがこの低俗なはしゃぎ合いが全ての望みを叶えられるわらわの理想郷よりも勝るとは解せぬ。
人と触れ合うことはとても楽しいことなんです。もちろんあなたの世界も楽しいものだと思います。それでも私はこちらを選びます。
わからぬ。わからぬ。
Beatrice held her head as though she was having a headache, but no matter how much she grimaced, she couldn't think of an answer.
教えよ、そなたはこのような低俗なはしゃぎ合いの中に何を見つけたというのか。
知りたいですか？
知りたい。
恋です。
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty obvious. And that was love with Badler first and then George. Yep.
これ前に約束した推理小説。
And then the connection with the mystery novel, so it's not just with Kumasawa.
お借りしますね。
いいよ、シャノンちゃんにやるよ。俺はもう読み終わっちまったし。
そんな、もらってしまっては悪いです。高いものでしょうし。
バザーでほんの何百円かでまとめ買いしたやつだから気にするなって。それより早く全部読んでまたいろいろと議論をしようぜ。
Oh my gosh, what if this whole game was just like her weird way of being like, Badler, you like mystery novels too. Look what I did. I made one. And you can try and, like, it was like, you need to solve it. This is like the ultimate mystery. I did this for you.
シャノンちゃんといろいろ議論するのは楽しいからさ。
Maybe that's the real thing. She was all upset, like, you can't remember. It wasn't about the promise to come and rescue her off the island. It was just like, we were supposed to talk about this book, and then you never came back, so now I'm gonna get back at you with a whole, like, mystery, murder mystery that involves your whole family and yourself.
はい、私も楽しいです。ミステリーは一人で読むよりも二人で読む方が楽しいですね。
Maybe that is, like, Beatrice's kind of fucked up thing. Like, that's why she was like, aren't you having fun, Badler? Aren't you having fun? This mystery that I created for us, and we can, like, talk about it and try and solve it?
議論したり妄想したりするのが楽しいよな。ミステリーは読んで半分を楽しみ、読んだ人間同士で語り合って初めて全てを楽しめるってのが俺の持論だぜ。
It all started when we realized that we both read mystery novels. We were both surprised and very interested to find the other not only read tons of mystery novels, but read them very thoroughly. Ever since then, it's been like this. Separate from the games we played with all the cousins, the two of us met together for some time alone. At first, it was like a sort of contest to see who knew more than the other. However, eventually, this turned into respect for how much the other had read and how deeply they were able to think about it. Respect, trust, those emotions made our friendship even stronger. Of course, all that still fallen within the category of friendship, but we were still slightly aware of the fact that the other was of the opposite sex, making for a relationship that was charming or youthful, or maybe you could call it exciting. However, we were still so young that even the word youth felt like it might be overstating our age. Of course, we didn't know a thing about love, so we couldn't understand that tickling feeling in our chests, both bitter and sweet, that we only felt when we were alone together. However, we realized that there was some unknown emotion hidden behind that feeling, and as our hearts As our hearts raced, we had held our hands upon the door. That was the exciting age we were at. So, at some point, our discussions about mystery novels became just an excuse for us to spend time alone together. And then George, like, hiding in the bushes, just be like, going after my woman.
ホワイダニット？犯人の動機ですか？
ああ、推理小説で探るべき3つの論点は、フーダニット、ハウダニット、そしてホワイダニット。この前者2つを扱う小説は結構多いと思うが、最後のホワイダニットを扱う小説って案外ないんだよな。
犯人特定後に動機を自白する作品は結構あると思いますけど、
それを犯人が自白する前に推理できるようになってなければダメなんだ。動機がないと思われていた人物が推理不能な動機により事件に及ぶってのは、俺は個人的にはアンフェアだと思ってる。
Who done it? Who's the culprit? How done it? How did they commit the crime? Why done it? Why did they commit the crime?
誰が犯人かとか、どんなトリックでとか、それを問う作品はすげえ多いぜ。
Maybe that's all the more reason that Shannon, who is potentially Beatrice, why she was just upset that, like, he couldn't figure out her motive of, like, why did you do this? Because he was the one who, like, drilled it in, like, that's the most important part.
いや、ほとんどだろうな。しかし、動機を推理する作品ってのは決して多くないと思う。
And that's what this whole thing is about. Is like the why. Why did they do this?
そうですね。Who, How, Why の3つの中で一番ないがしろにされている要素かもしれませんね。
ホワイダニットを大切にしない推理小説ってのは、なんだか一味足りないように思う。いや、つまらないって言ってんじゃない。なんていうのか。
The heart, right?
一番大切なものが足りないような気がするんだ。
一番大切なものが足りない？
心だよ。
Yep.
心が足りない。
心。
Isn't that the same thing Will said? Is Will kind of like a stand-in for Badler? They do sort of look alike. I feel like that's not a coincidence.
人の心ってのはすごく重要だと思うんだ。人間が殺人を決意し、
Because Badler's not in this one really. Like he's not.
実行に踏み切るには。
Because this is like a flashback. So like, yeah, Badler's not in this. He's not the piece. He's not the game master. So maybe Will is kind of like a representation of him?
ものすごい大きな心の力が必要なはずなんだ。人は心で動いてるんだぜ。
In other words, only the heart can kill a person. When an emotional upheaval grows strong enough to make a person want to kill, the result is the tragedy called murder. And this is why I'm just like, there has to be something more to if Shannon is the culprit than just Badler not fulfilling his promise to her. There had to be something else that pushed her over the edge. And I could be completely wrong. It might not be Shannon at all. But I mean, come on. Like, it seems like this is what the game, this whole thing, this whole backstory is like the culprit confessing everything. And we're really digging into Shannon. So only the heart can kill. So if a person has been killed, you must search for the heart. That's what he told me.
だからさ、犯人がただの殺人狂で面白半分に事件を起こしてるって作品は
And that's what he thought Beatrice was at first, was just like some crazy person who was just killing for the fun of it. I mean, she didn't help herself by like cackling all the time and making it seem like she was having fun.
なんだか少し好きになれない。
殺すに値する十分な心の動きを描いた作品がお好きだと？
そうさ。そしてそれを推理させてくれる作品が俺は本当は一番好きなんだ。
As he spoke, he looked back at me and smiled. Before today, I used to like novels that focused on exposing the tricks. However, I decided to look for novels like the ones he recommended in the future.
心ってやつを俺はないがしろにしたくない。人は心で動いてるんだからな。
そうですね。おっしゃる通りだと思います。
This isn't limited to the mystery genre. All people, at all times, are driven by their hearts. Figuring out the heart is the essence of interactions between people. No, interactions between hearts. I have to say, even as like a 12-year-old, he was very, very mature, despite the fact that he said himself that he was like a goofy, rowdy kid. But like, I don't know, he definitely has like an old soul to it, it seems like. None of us humans can live on our own, and yet we have no way of peeking into the hearts of others. That's why every meeting between people is its own mystery of the heart. Encountering those mysteries, reasoning about them, and understanding them is what allows people and hearts to connect with one another. The two of us are here by ourselves, talking together about mysteries, and through that, we're exploring each other's heart and debating its mysteries. I want you to feel about me the way I feel about you. We're both exploring, trying to figure out the depths of the other's heart in this mystery of love.
Oh. もうこんな時間だな。兄貴たちを待たせちゃってるかな。
そろそろ戻った方がいい時間ですね。
シャノンちゃんと話してるとあっという間に時間が過ぎちまうな。
He seemed to be speaking the words of my heart. We were thinking the same thing, so the same words came out.
いつまでも二人きりでお話をできたらいいのに。時計の針が恨めしいです。
俺もだぜ。六軒島で一番楽しいのはこうしてシャノンちゃんと話すことだからな。
When I saw his smiling eyes were looking right at me, I turned around. I couldn't let him see my suddenly red face.
私も外の世界へ出られたなら。
And this is where he says, like, I'll rescue you one day and I'll take you off this
も
island.
っともっとたくさんの本を読めるのに。
The bookshop on Nijima that I go to and the bookshop he goes to in the city are on completely different scales. The book exchange between the two of us had become completely one-sided, with him giving me all the books.
シャノンちゃんはいつまで使用人を続ける気なんだ？
わかりません。
もしいつか辞める時が来たら。
Yeah, this is where he's gonna tell her
来
that.
たら？
俺のところへ来いよ。
He said it almost carelessly. Maybe he was a bit embarrassed, since he laughed weakly and blushed.
そしたら今度はもう時間も何も気にせずに済むもんな。
そうですね。ずっと一緒にいられますね。
The little secret dates on this island only happened a few times a year, and even when they did happen, it was only for a short, uncertain period of time. It wouldn't work over the phone or with letters. We can only talk about our mystery when we're standing together like this.
必ずその日は来るさ。
来るでしょうか。
ああ、絶対にな。
Certain? How can he be certain?
その日が来たら俺が白馬にまたがって
Yeah, there it is.
迎えに来てやるぜ。
After saying this, he turned away. He was probably too proud to show me his blushing cheeks. But even without seeing, I knew what his face looked like. To come riding on a white horse. Who did that again? Isn't it like a fairy tale prince? So what exactly does that mean? Does that mean you're going to be my prince? My mind was going blank, so I couldn't reason out his mystery of love, even though it was all plain and simple.
その日はいつ来るんでしょう。
シャノンちゃんさえ決心したなら。
My heart skipped a beat. It was so sweet, yet it hurt.
俺はいつだっていいんだぜ。シャノンちゃんの人生さ。よく考えてから決心するといい。俺はその決心がいつであっても
I mean,
そ
Badler,
れを尊重するぜ。
you might want to talk about with your parents first about that. You know, just being like, hey, so the servant girl is coming to live with us because I told her she could.
はい。
その日までずっと待ってるぜ。
And then she was the one who ended up waiting. It's like he just forgot about her. I mean, I don't think he forgot about her, but he just... I could see why she'd be upset. He just never shows up again. Still not enough to feel like to kill, because he said it himself. Like, it would take a very devastating or something really big to drive someone to murder, especially someone as, like, sweet as Shannon. If I were a bit more foolish and courageous, I could have told him my mind is already made up. Poor George just seems like chopped liver. He's just, like, basically the second choice. He's just the runner-up because Badler didn't show up. I could have asked him to take me away from this island right now. But I can't. I have to think carefully about my future, for both of our sakes. My head filled with pointless, senseless thoughts.
嬉しいです。ありがとう。
With his back still to me, he scratched his head and laughed. I knew he was doing this out of embarrassment, so I could clearly tell what his expression must have been. In the same way, he must have realized what my face looked like. We're both puzzle solvers of love. We theorize about each other's love, solving each other's mysteries.
時間をくれてありがとうございます。
時間は無限にあるぜ。
いいえ、それでは申し訳ないです。待ちくたびれちゃったら申し訳ないです。
And then once again, he's the one who made her wait. She probably was like, that was my one chance, and I didn't take it.
だから決心しました。決心しますというのが正しいでしょうか。今すぐ使用人を辞めるという意味じゃありません。そう。
1 year. And then this was the last time she saw him for 6 years.
1年後に。
That's got to be especially upsetting for her when she told him, like, in a year, I will make up my mind, and then he just never came back to see what she was gonna say, so she probably thought, like, oh, he moved on. If 1 year from now, you still feel certain about coming for me on a white horse, and me too, if I still like you a year from now, I'd like to dedicate the rest of my life to you.
1年後に。
Wow, we're learning so much about this. I'm so happy that, like, we're getting more backstory on this moment, because this seemed pivotal.
決心しようと思います。
1年か。いい時間だな。春夏秋冬。それだけの時間を過ごして自分の心と正直に向き合うといいぜ。
ですから来年きっと迎えに来てくださいね。
It's gotta be especially upsetting for Shannon when after 6 years, he just comes back and act like he didn't make that promise to her. He didn't explain to her, like, hey, I'm sorry I didn't come back for you. Obviously, pretty devastating things happened with his mom dying and then his dad remarrying. But, like, yeah, he just came back and was just, like, his kind of old goofball self and just kind of, like, basically brushed over everything he told her.
Oh.
He responded to my cowardly resolve with a quick, strong answer.
その日が来るの待っているぜ。
はい、私も待っていますからね。絶対
And he
来て
did.
くださいね。
あ、
絶対ですよ。来年来てくださいね。
They're really drilling this in, aren't they?
絶対来るぜ。ここで会おうな。
Oh, Badler. Oh, the things that you set into motion. Definitely. Yeah, that was the moment I think that started the ball rolling, but once again, I don't think that could be the sole thing that would cause her to kill everybody. I see. So this emotion that felt like sweet suffocation is love? It's an emotion I do not know, one I do not possess. Though my magic can grant any wish, though my paradise can grant any wish, it's something I cannot have, an incomprehensible emotion that burns like fire, and yet one desires madly to hold close. All I know is no matter how great a witch I might become, I cannot create this emotion. It must be given by another person. For the first time, I realized I was not all powerful, and I knew what Shannon had discovered in the world of humans.
この感情はダメだな。覚えちまったら忘れられぬではないかよ。
Shannon, you win. Love, is it? It may be the most important element, and the one that I lack. Shannon, I shall observe from afar the course of your love. Go forth and teach me more and more about this new emotion. Alright, are we back to... I haven't seen them in a while, Will and... I've forgotten her name, Berncastel.
この姿は貸してあげるわ。私バカは嫌いだから。仮の名としてクレルと名乗りなさい。それともベアトがいい？感謝します。みすぼらしい姿を晒さずに済みます。
AKA your human form, so I can be sure, so I can know who actually is the culprit. Berncastel had given this person a fake form. It was a temporary form for the person acting the part of Beatrice. A false appearance intended for those yet to reach the truth of Beatrice's identity. Like Berncastel said, like AKA the idiots. And Leon, forgot about Leon too.
なのですか。リオン、これが異なる世界のあなたにして我の物語。私が人間としてでなく魔女として生きる世界の物語。
So AK, who is Leon in this world, right? Like...
私も自分の人生にもしも想像することがあります。
I mean, we knew this. We knew that the child that got thrown off the cliff, that was the one that becomes Beatrice. It's still throwing me off. I keep thinking like all the focus on Shannon makes me think it's Shannon, right? But then it's still a little confusing, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm just like, who among the group of people that we know, because we know the number of people on the island does not change. So who among those people is this child that in this world grows up to be Leon? I gotta think it's Shannon. Because like that person, the child, ends up at the orphanage as Yasu, but maybe becomes... it's still like Yasu / Shannon, maybe? It's just like, and then they see themselves maybe as like multiple people, Beatrice, Shannon, Yasu.
それでももう一人のお前のたどった人生だ。
だからって容易に受け入れられるものではありません。
Leon suddenly yelled and looked at the floor. Leon already knew. Because of the fragments provided by Berncastel, Leon knew. This was a different world where the same person lived as the Golden Witch of Beatrice. And in this world, eventually, on the day of the October 1986 family conference, this person would be the ringleader of a terrible crime. This is what I want to see. I know there's more chapters to Beatrice's story, but like, what was the moment that caused them to just decide, like, this is what I'm going to do? What was the big motivation? The heart, right? The heart, like Badler was saying, the heart of the crime.
私が家族や親族を、使用人の人たちみんなを巻き込んで恐ろしい事件の首謀者になる。それに私はどう向き合えばいいというのです。
黙って聞いて、静かに理解しろ。
別の人生では私が使用人をしていて、かと思えばいつの間にか魔女になっていて、そしてやがては恐ろしい殺人事件を何度も繰り返す。それをどう理解しろと言うんです。
ああ、そうだろうな。誰にも理解はできねえだろうよ。こいつももはや誰にも理解してもらえるとは思ってねえ。だからお前なんだ。だからベルンカステルはお前とこいつ、出会うはずのない自分同士をこうして出会わせたんだ。
別に深い意味はないわ。単なる気まぐれよ。
誰にも理解できない動機だから、リオン、せめてお前だけは理解しろ。この物語の主役は俺じゃない。お前だ。俺はお前の理解を助けるための。
Alright, so this is where we get into the motive, right? This is the thing I'm most interested in.
ミルは犯人の動機を理解したと言いましたね。
ああ。
それは私が家族を、親族を。
I mean, it'd be hard to, like, what could possibly be a satisfactory motive to kill so many people?
みんなを殺すに足る。
Right?
納得できる動機なんですか？
さあな。
Maybe it doesn't have to be, right? Like we can disagree with it, but it doesn't make it any less of a motive.
それを考えるのは自分だ。俺が納得してもお前が納得するわけじゃねえ。お前の納得はお前がするんだ。
私には何が何だか本当にわからないんです。ベアトリーチェが起こしたといういくつものゲーム版という名の事件を見ました。そして今もう一人の私が語る異なる人生についても聞いています。でも全然それと事件がつながらない。理解ができない。私もこの時やがてそのような恐ろしい事件を引き起こすことになるなど想像することもできませんでした。いえ、仮に想像し得たとしても私にあのような事件を起こす力は。
I did not have the power to commit the crime at the time, so something changed, obviously.
だろうな。お前の不幸は多分非分の謎を解いたことだろう。
Okay. Okay. Your misfortune came when you solved the Epitaph's riddle. Okay, so Beatrice was the person, or whoever, Shannon, Yasu, whoever. So they were the one who solved the riddle. And then they got all the gold. But then something changed about it, something that obviously, like, just broke them to the point where, like, everything changed after they solved the riddle. Okay. Are we actually going to get the answer to the riddle in this chapter? Oh my gosh, I forgot all about the Epitaph.
おじい様が出題したという隠し黄金の碑文ですか？
事件ごとに異なる共犯者を得るシステム。
Okay, system by which the culprit obtained different Okay. So, I did say that in previous theories that it seems like the person, the culprit, had accomplices within the family. And it seemed... Okay, so it changed each time.
導き出される推理は犯人が莫大な金を持っていたという可能性。
Right, it would make sense. So, okay. So Beatrice, they solved the Epitaph first. They got all the money, and that's what made it possible for them to care. Because I was thinking that, I'm like, I've had kind of my eye on the servants for a while, it being potentially one of them. It's like, how? How could they do that with all of, it would require a lot of effort and a lot of money to be able to do it. Because, yeah, there were certain games where, like, it definitely seemed like the one with Ava, for example, like, it definitely seemed like she was working with Beatrice, and then in the other one it seemed maybe more like Rosa was doing it, and then ones where it was like multiple members of the family were kind of in on it. So that's really interesting.
そして全てを黄金鏡に招き、全ての恋を成就させる もう一つのシステム。
Okay, so for the Golden Land, there was another system.
動機だけでなく、そこまでをお察し
Oh,
でしたか。
okay, let's get into this.
それこそが第4のゲームの最後の謎の答えだ。
Oh boy, which one was the fourth game again?
お前の最大の不幸は
Your greatest misfortune was solving the epitaph.
本当の意味で黄金の魔女として復活し、その魔力を得てしまったことだ。
So what all the rest of the family see is like, you know, they wanted to solve the epitaph because it would be the, you know, solve all their problems. And Beatrice, it was the thing that led to their downfall.
今となっては、あれはやはり不幸なことだったのでしょうか。
All right, are we going to go into the flashback where she solves it?
わかりません。しかし、1986年にバトラさんが帰ってくるという事実が変わらぬ限り、何かの悲劇は起こったでしょう。
And Badler was like he was kind of the spark to set it all in motion.
そうだな。バトラが帰ってくるのが
Oh.
1年早いか遅いか。
A year earlier or later, so the fact it was that specific year, that's the thing that changed
事
everything.
件は起こらなかったかもしれない。
Oh, very interesting. No, some small incident would probably have occurred, and it would surely have been a mysterious, impossible incident which no one could understand. But even so, it would have been insignificant compared to the Rokenjima serial murder. So this is interesting. I guess it was the timing for when Beatrice solved the epitaph. So it's okay. So the fact that he showed up on that specific year, 1986, that is the thing that set all this in motion. So I figured it was Badler. It was the one. It was the fact he returned. I thought that was like a big thing, but it was more so like the year. Okay.
バトラ君が1年早いか遅いかだったらとは。
運命とは
No, they're dancing
本
around
当に皮
it.
肉なものですね。私に魔女の人生を歩ませ、
Okay.
碑文を解くことで本当の魔女となり、そして6年を経て
For 6 years,
彼
I
の
learned
帰
of
りを
his
知る
return.
それら全てが運命ならば、これは私にとって必然であり、逃れられなかった事件。
バトラは1980年、母アスムの死と父ルドルフの早すぎる再婚に憤慨して後宮家を飛び出した。そして6年間後宮家を離れた。
He convinced his grandparents on his mother's side to help him and had his last name changed to his mother's maiden name. Then, when those grandparents passed away, he finally made up with Rudolph and returned to the Ushiramiya family again in 1986.
その不運がお前に事件の動機を生む。
思いました。どうして6年も経て今さら帰ってくるのか。
Yeah, it's definitely Shannon, right? Yeah, I mean, come on. It has to be. Who else would be thinking that except Shannon about, like, who else would be waiting for him and care that much?
そうだな。いっそ永遠に帰ってこない方がお前には良かったのかもしれない。
もちろん苦しみは続いていたでしょう。しかし大量殺人という許されざる犯罪に手を染めずには済んだかもしれません。
バトラ君が後宮家を去り、それがどんな動機になるというんですか。
逆だな。
You got it backwards. Okay.
逆？
バトラが去ったから事件が起こるんじゃない。
It was because he came
バ
back?
トラが帰ってきたか
Yeah.
ら事件が起こるんだ。
こうして考えれば考えるほどに、後宮バトラ、なんと憎らしい男か。何より憎らしいのは、彼は自分のせいで事件が起こることに。
Sorry for the audio glitching out there. Once again, my headphones, the wire is just like all wonky on it. Okay, so they are placing the blame on Badler coming back. It seems to like he was the one that... No, there has to be more than just the fact that she's salty that he came back after 6 years. Like, no, I feel so dumb. I feel like we're so close to the answer, but I'm like, Is that really all it is? It can't be.
最後には思い出した。ただし、お前が諦めて消えたよりずっと後のことだがな。
それが本当なら私の心も。
They're really making it seem like it's his sin about forgetting about the promise. That's it? No.
私には
Yeah, I'm Leon right now. Like, please clue in the idiot, please, instead of dancing around it and talking in circles and metaphors.
逃げずに聞こうと思います。知ろうと思います。一体あなたに何が
Yes, please, please.
決意するというのですか。
そうだ。それが一番大事なんだ。
The why done it.
後ろ宮バトラが推理小説に対し、ホワイダニットを尊んだように、黄金の魔女の物語もゲームも謎もすべてそこに秘められている。
では引き続き語りましょう。1980年、私が事件を決意する。
Okay, so this was
6年前から。
6 years before I resolved myself to commit the crime. Okay, so this was the first year he didn't come back.
第6章
Days of trial.
試される日。
バトラ様が後ろ宮家の席を出られた？
旦那様とルドルフ様がそう話してるのよ。もうびっくり。
お前の人生にもそして家庭にも私は何も文句を言うつもりはない。しかし親父殿はカンカンだよ。感動ならまだしもこの方から愛想を尽かして席を出ていくなど聞いたこともない。
I wonder if Kenzo is angry because, one, they have a lot of, their family name is very important to them, but also maybe because secretly deep down, maybe he saw Badler as the most, viable person to carry on the family name, and then he just, up and left the family.
誰に似たんだか。バトラのやつめ、妙に頑固でな。
バトラ君の気持ちがわからないのであれば。
Oh damn, Natsui.
資格を疑われるかと思いますよ。
Shots fired.
よしたまえ。キリエさんの子供をしっかり育てたいという責任をルドルフなりに示したということだろう。
それが来年だったなら何も言うことはありません。しかしどうして今年なのですか？桃開けないうちから。解任の時期を考えるとルドルフさんを見下さざるを得ません。
まあそういじめないでくれ。
I mean, Natsui, Okay, so she didn't throw the child off the cliff, but, I mean, you caused a potential baby death, so, I mean, let's not talk so much about dishonorable actions.
これが俺なりのけじめの取り方なんだ。
バトラ君が亡くなられたアスムさんに代わってあなたに抗議されている気持ち、本当によくわかります。もしここにいたなら一緒に肩を抱いて泣いてあげたい気持ちですよ。
At least she's being a good aunt, I suppose, but maybe Natsui secretly finds, she feels like she gets talked down to by a lot of the family, so maybe, any way she can grasp where she can come across as, the more moral, superior person, she will jump on that. Natsui's words were sharp. They pierced Rudolph mercilessly. Rudolph had no retort. His relationship with Kyrie had been improper, plain and simple. According to Rudolph, he had been close to Kyrie longer than Asumu, and even after his marriage to Asumu, their relationship had not disappeared.
なんだよそれ、このクソ親父。じゃあつまりあんたはずっと母さんを裏切ってたわけじゃねえかよ。
And it's crazy that, knowing Asumu is not his actual mother. There's still that whole thing about, who is his mother. That will probably be brought up too. I mean, the only other person I could think of would be maybe Kyrie, because Kyrie, or not Kyrie, sorry, oh my gosh, Angie and Badler look very alike, so maybe they are not just half siblings, maybe they are actual siblings. But the whole thing about like Badler was not born of a Sumu, that wording was kind of weird, so it could just be like wordplay. Maybe she is his mother, but I'm leaning towards like maybe Kyrie is actually Badler's mom. And whether Kyrie knows that or not, I would assume if that's the case, she does. But then she also had that kind of like hatred towards Badler. So maybe she legit, if that's the case, if he is her son, she doesn't actually know. It's a whole messy situation.
そりゃ俺だってキリエ様知ってるさ。あんたのビジネスパートナーでいつも事業の相談に乗ってくれる頼れる友人だって聞かされてたさ。それが男女の仲だったなんて今さら言われたって知ったことかよ。母さんが死んだ後なら勝ってさ。俺だってあんたの人生だ、好きにしろと言ってるさ。でもな、キリエさんの解任はいつだよ。
And but Badler's such a he's such a sweetie though. Like he's sticking up for his mom's honor, but he didn't hold it against Angie. And he treated her like a sister, and he treated her with love. Good, he's just a good dude.
まだ母さんは生きてるじゃないか。ああ、やっとわかったぜ。なんで俺はあんたにこんなにも吐き気を感じるのかってな。あんた、母さんがここで死んでくれて嬉しかったの。そうなんだろ。もし母さんが生きてたら、不倫のことや子供のことでどう隠すかで苦労が絶えなかったろうからな。都合よく母さんが死んでくれたから、キリエさんと結婚して新しい子を俺の弟か妹になってよく言えたもんだぜ。母さんが天国で泣いてる。恥を知れ、恥を知れよ。俺は恥ずかしいぜ。あんたと同じ後ろ宮の姓を名乗ることが恥ずかしくて仕方ねえ。
That's crazy to think like 6 years ago, like he was still a child, right? Because he's 18? I think he's 18, so this would have been like he would have like been like a young teenager, and he's just speaking so like he's speaking truth here. And he's still so mature. He's just like, I don't blame the kid. You know, I would totally understand at his age, you know, as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, you know, to like have some resentment towards Angie, but he's still like, I don't bear any ill will towards her because she didn't ask for this.
せいぜい新しい家族を育んで幸せに育ててやれよ。だがな、俺は許さねえからな。だって母さんはもう憎むこともできる。だから俺が母さんに代わってあんたを憎む。全身全霊をかけてな。あばよ、クソ親父。
もう十分だろう、夏日。ルドルフは決してバトラ君に愛情を失ったわけではない。長い時間をかけるだろうが、親子の絆を取り戻したいと願っている。
父親として当然です。赤の他人ならいざ知れず。
I love Natsu. He's just like, wait, does he want a fucking cookie for wanting to patch up his relationship with his son?
自分の血を分けた子供ならば、それが当然の責務です。
I like when she's just, man, she could be so brutal sometimes, and she gets so little respect from people, so it's kind of nice to see her like throw it back at people and like speak out.
いいさ、とことん俺を蔑んでくれ。反論はしねえ。それが俺のけじめのつけ方だ。
せめて生まれてくる子だけは幸せにしたまえ。
生まれてくる子もバトラも俺の子だ。
アスムさんが亡くなり、キリエさんと籍を入れられるのはバトラ君には苦々しいだろうが、 生まれてくる子にとって最善だ。私はお前を理解するよ。
バトラ君が
I like
ア
how
スムさんが亡くなって嬉しかっただろうとあなたをなじった気持ちがよくわかります。
I like how you can see the two different opinions, whereas like Kraus is thinking from the family side, practical side, be like, you gotta do what's right for the family. You know, you have to marry Kyrie so that she, you know, the kid's not a bastard. You know, just like gotta make it legit. And then Natsui is just being like, that was really inappropriate and was probably not very good timing on your part. You should have at least given it some time.
もうよせ夏日。すでにルドルフはなじるべき人間から十分にそれを受けている。それより紅茶をもらえんかね。厨房の誰かに紅茶を頼んできてくれんかね。
わかりました。
Natsui took this as a signal to leave the room and did so. Once she left, Kraus relaxed slightly.
アスムさんは気の毒だったが、生まれてくる子を考えれば、これは偶然のタイミングだったかもしれんね。
まるでアスムがそれを知って自分から舞台を降りたかのようだ。俺がアスムを殺したのか。だとしたら俺はいつから殺してたんだろうな。
They never really did specify. They just said she got sick. Are we gonna get into like, does it really matter, I guess, about like how she died?
アスムさんを大事に思う気持ちがまだあるなら、何年かけてでもバトラ君と復縁したまえ。
ああ、わかってる。
そしてキリエさんと生まれてくる子にも等しい愛情を注ぎなさい。アスムさんの十字架を背負いながらね。
もし地獄にもリザーブってやつがあるんなら、特上の席を俺に一つ取っておいてほしいもんだぜ。
The news that Badler had left the Ushirimiya family swept across the family.
バトラさんもお気の毒に。いつかきっと仲直りをしてくれると信じていますけど。
親族の方々の都合だ。使用人の知るところではない。それよりも新しく白宮家に加わられるキリエ様のお顔を。
それもそうですね。今年の親族会議にはいらっしゃるんですからね。
That's gotta be awkward. If the person knew the Ushirimiya family would be coming to the conference, then what about the person who just left?
ならバトラは来ないってことじゃない？
そう考えるのが妥当であろうな。賑やかな男が一人かけ、なんとも寂しいものよ。
Though most people felt it was sad to see Badler leave the Ushirimiya family and that he would be missed, they didn't think any more about it than that. However, what about Shannon? Wasn't Badler supposed to come for her on a white horse? At first I was shocked, because I immediately thought that his departure from the family meant he wouldn't be coming to this island anymore. And I do think that's understandable, given how he must feel. I understand painfully well why he wanted to leave his family. But does that really mean he won't come to Rokunjima anymore? What on earth is going on? Will he really never return? Unable to ask him this directly, I was forced to spend each day contending with a growing sense of anxiety. Badler, son, I understand how you feel, but you wouldn't leave this place behind forever just because you broke away from the Ushirimiya family, would you? Tell me it isn't true. I was so confused that the world seemed to be spinning around me. I felt tightness in my chest, and I couldn't think at all. When I happened to touch my cheek, I was surprised to find it hot and wet. With a miserable expression on my face, I was crying.
Shannon, Shannon.
From far away, I could hear someone calling to me, but it was a very strange sort of distance. Though it felt very far away, the voice also seemed to be coming from right behind me, beside me.
シャノン、そなたの胸中察するぞ。
大丈夫よ。あくまでも親子喧嘩。そして噂話には尾ひれがつくものよ。きっと大げさに伝わってるだけだわ。
そうとも、もう二度とバトラがこの島に来ないと決まったわけではない。気を強く持つのだ。
Where is this place? I seem to remember it somehow. It's like it reminds me of the scenery of a strange dream I once had. Then this must be another dream. I was there under an arbor in a golden rose garden, and two witches in white and red dresses were showering words of encouragement upon me.
噂好きの若い使用人たちが話を好き勝手に膨らませているに違いないぞ。席を抜けたなどと大げさな。きっとただの親子喧嘩に違いないぞ。
ありがとう。そうだといいのですが。
そうに決まってるわ。男の子だもの。父親と喧嘩の一つくらいするわ。
そうともそうとも。すぐに頭を冷やして仲直りするに決まっているではないか。
男の喧嘩なんて火付きは良くてもすぐ燃え尽きちゃうものよ。
それに比べ女の喧嘩は炎こそ上がらぬが、いつまでも火種が残るものよ。男の喧嘩など激しくとも一時すがすがしいものよ。
そうですね。バトラさんとルドルフ様、早く仲直りするといいですね。
するとも。バトラはいつも言っていたであろうが、よく父親と喧嘩をすると。今回もそれらのうちの一つと変わらぬ。母親の死と父親の再婚で動揺したに過ぎぬわ。
祖父母の家へ行ってしまったそうだけど、どうせ2、3日も頭を冷やせば元の鞘に収まるわ。ほらあれよ、プチ家出ってやつね。
The two witches kept saying that Badler's fight hadn't been anything huge. If it was just a family quarrel, the rumors wouldn't have started in the first place. I just can't feel optimistic about this.
いずれにせよだ。これはバトラ親子の問題。放っておけば時間が解決してくれる。そなたが気に病んでも仕方がなきことよ。
今日バトラが来なかったからといってこれからも来ないと決めつけるのは早計だわ。今日はルドルフが一人でやってきただけの話。
そうとも。また次の親族会議では元気な姿を見せてくれるに決まっている。おそらくはそのうちヒリエとやらを連れてやってくるであろう。その時にはふてくされながらも一緒に来てくれるに決まっている。
They underestimated just how stubborn he is.
そうですね。うん。きっとそうですよね。
How nice would it be if they were right? In fact, if I could, I'd like to flip through the calendar until autumn right now and check to see whether he does come to the next conference. If he does, then all my fears are groundless. It would mean the rumor-mongering family members and servants just blew things out of proportion. If Badler-san were right here, I'd like to question him right away. Hey, isn't it true you'll never come to Rokunjima? Or, hey, it isn't true that you'll never come to Rokunjima again, right? If I could just hear him say, of course not, I could stop worrying about it. I don't know the phone number for Rudolph-sama's house, but I could probably look it up if I tried. However, as a servant of the family, I have no excuse for making the call. And anyway, I have no way of finding out the phone number at Badler-san's grandparents' house. All I can do is wait for Rudolph-sama's family to come visit and hope that my fears are groundless. And then we're just going to see year after year just her getting more and more despondent. However, will I be able to make it through the day feeling like this? No way. I doubt I'll sleep a wink tonight. Just waiting around feeling like this, when I don't know when my next chance will come. I can't do that. Will it be next month? Or the month after? In the worst case, I might have to wait until the next family conference. And I have to wait that long while holding back the suffocating feeling. I can't bear it.
ねえ、シャノン、唐突に尋ねるけれど、あなたがした1年後までの決意というのは、この島の使用人を辞めることを決めるだけの決意じゃないでしょう？
それは。
It was to make up my mind to start a new life. Instead of remaining a servant by force of habit, I'm supposed to resolve to step into a new life and leave my own life as a servant behind.
そしてその決意の日に迎えに来るとバトラは約束してくれたんじゃなかった？
それは、はい。
わらわは言葉を選ばぬから言おう。それはつまり、バトラと共に新しい人生を踏み出そうという決意ではないのか。
バトラさんと新しい人生。
そなたは決意の日にバトラが迎えに来てくれないかもしれないと恐れている。しかし決意の日はバトラが迎えに来てくれることだけを意味するのではないぞ。
あなたがバトラとこれからの人生を共に歩む決意を示す日でもあるのよ。
その決意はそなたが自らするものだ。バトラがただ来てくれるだけで成し得るものではないぞ。
シャノン、あなたにはもうこれからの人生を彼と歩む決意はあるの？それがまだないから次の親族会議の日に決心するなんて言ったんでしょ？
バトラと人生を共に歩むとは、そなたは真剣に考えたことはあるのか？
それは、
As long as I'm working as a servant on Rokenjima, my opportunities for meeting him are limited. We're both underage. She doesn't look underage to me. That's still the thing that throws me off. She looks exactly the same as she does in present time, and she's supposed to be, I imagine, the same age as Battler. We're both underage, so it's too early to talk about marriage. It seems like George was basically just kind of like her second chance about like getting off the island and starting a life because she gave up on Battler, and then he shows up and makes things complicated. You know, she thought maybe she had forgotten about him, and then he comes back, and her feelings are all like discombobulated. However, if I quit working as a servant, I should have many more opportunities to meet him. Once I quit work here, I'll return to the Gospel House. I have my wages for serving the family, so I should have more than enough to make visits to Badler-san's house. And when I graduate from school, I can rent an apartment near Badler-san's house. Then, well, I can work while going to school. That life will be a lot more difficult than my vague conception of it. However, I'll be able to see Badler-san much, much more often. If not every day, then every week. She was really committed to this, and then she just ended up getting with George instead. I won't be a servant anymore, so we'll finally be equals. I'll be allowed to call him whenever I want. And I'm already balancing school and work. Thanks to my experience here, I know more than enough to do simple housework.
楽しそうな人生ではないか。ささやかな住まいを借りて自分の城を築けたなら、ぜひバトラを招待するがよい。
そうして新しい二人の時間、二人の世界が始まっていくのね。素敵じゃない。
はい。ちょっと素敵ですよね。
This was the first time I ever imagined that future clearly. I've been able to appreciate the feeling of my love for him, and my honest desire to live my life with him. However, now that I have a clear picture of the future I plan to choose, I finally understand. I need to mentally commit myself to embarking on this future.
やがては結婚だって夢見ちゃってるわけでしょ。
ほうほう、結婚前提とは最近の小娘は進んでおるわ。
そこまでは
夢を否定しないで。未来を見据えぬ目を閉じたままの第一歩に何の意味もないんだから。
It seems like she wanted to be married, and then like Badler was kind of like her first choice, and then that didn't pan out, so George was just like, all right, I guess you'll be my second choice.
惚れた男なら結婚しちゃったりしてと夢見ても何の罪もないぞ。それが乙女の特権であるわ。
My face had turned bright red. Before today, I had thought that considering marriage really was a bit premature, and I'd been trying my best not to think about it. However, now that the witches had encouraged me to imagine it, that image was both exciting and fresh. I felt an indescribable feeling of refreshment and awakening. like the gentle breeze that washes over you when you go outside during a brief spot of sunshine on a rainy day. Certainly, I hadn't yet reached that level of resolve. I need to create that resolve by the time the next family conference comes around. If I can't do that, then sticking around as a servant on this island is no more than I deserve.
そしてそれは同時に試練でもあるのよ。
And then something happened where, like, even, she's making it seem like even if Badler doesn't show up, she still could get off the island and start her new life and then just kind of wait for him, but she didn't do that. They did say, they were implying that, like, whatever happened, that whole epitaph, like, just basically messed everything up. So maybe, like, she had those dreams, and then when I'm assuming she solved the epitaph, like, something came out of that, whatever she discovered, that's just like she went down that other path of Beatrice and murdering everybody eventually, and that's what really is exciting me of, like, what is the answer?
確かにこれは試練であるな。
試練？どうしてですか？
Maybe she figured, like, the whole thing about, like, solving the epitaph and getting the gold, it's like, if I can do that, then I can, I'll have all the money I need to start my new life. But even after that, they ended up staying.
愚か者め、バトラは次の親族会議に迎えに来ると。
白馬にまたがって迎えに来るってね。
はい。
そなたはバトラがもう来ないと思っている。つまりそれはバトラの約束を信じないということではないのか？
だからこれは試練なのよ。彼を信じて待つというあなたへの試練。
Oh, that's why. She was like, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till he comes back. Rather than just leaving on her own.
試練。
The love trials, right? This is similar to the love trials from the last game, or the last chapter. I never thought of it that way. Since he promised to come for me in a year, I must believe he will come for me in a year. If I doubt that, I don't have the right to wait for him in the first place.
バトラが後ろ宮家を抜けたのだって案外そなたとの未来を見据えてのことなのかもしれぬぞ。
あら、どうして？
二人で暮らし、将来婚姻のちぎりを交わすことまで見通したなら、後ろ宮家の使用人であるシャノンと結ばれるには、後ろ宮の姓が邪魔をすることもあるかもしれぬ。
ああ、なるほど。使用人の娘と結ばれるなんてギャンギャンって言われることを見越して、先に後ろ宮の姓を捨てたってわけね。
I know, and now they're putting ideas in her head about, like, this flowery version of what actually happened, getting her hopes up, and then having it just be completely crushed.
どうだシャノン、これならば全てに筋は通るというもの。バトラが後ろ宮の名を捨てたのはそなたを考えてのことよ。ルドルフとの唐突な親子喧嘩はそれをもっともらしくする口実に違いあるまい。
素敵な推理だわ。さすがリーチェ。
どうだシャノン、落ち込むには値しないではないか。それどころかそなたと結ばれるためにバトラが先に決意を見せたようなものではないか。
A smile finally returned to my face. Of course, I hadn't taken the witches seriously and let myself be reassured. The opposite, in fact. It was just funny they could think up such ridiculously convenient explanations for everything. Okay, she's not falling for it. However, they all made those ridiculous theories to cheer me up. The witches are right when they said I must trust Badler's son, and that there's no point moping about just because I've heard a few rumors. By the date of the next family conference, I intend to have a firm resolve to live my life with him, and I believe he'll accept my feelings and come for me. The idea that Badler left the family so he could be married to me someday is laughable, of course, but right now I should try to feel confident enough to accept even crazy ideas like that.
ありがとうございます。なんだか少し気分が楽になりました。
ならばよかった。そなたが悲しみで枕を濡らすのを見るのは耐えられんのでな。
私の夢の中にまでやってきて励ましてくれて本当にありがとう。
うん、もうじき朝になる。すべては夢。 そなたは目覚めれば何も覚えてはいまい。しかしそなたの心に静寂は戻る。
はい、私は彼を信じて待つ。だから小さな噂話になんか耳を貸さないんです。
そうだ、次の親族会議まで自分を磨きながら待つのだ。花嫁修行と思えば日々のつまらぬ雑事も彩りを帯びよう。
本当にありがとう。
リーチェ、もう朝になるわ。
そうか。それではさらばだ、シャノン。そなたはわらわを覚えてはいまい。しかしわらわはいつもそなたのそばにいてそなたを見守っているぞ。
ありがとう、ありがとう。
次の親族会議など瞬く間よ。のんびりと待つがよい。必ずバトラは約束を守るのだから。
1 year later, alright, and now we get to see the despair of Shannon. 1981, 5 years until the crime.
はじめまして、キリエと申します。よろしくお願いいたします。
名前だけならアスムさんより前から知ってるわ。ルドルフの昔からの
Oh,
ガー
Ava.
ルフレンド。
Ava just immediately passive aggressively just digging into her. That would be an awkward. I almost feel bad for Kyrie here. It would be. I know she can hold her own, but it would be quite the awkward experience.
ええ、ご縁は随分になりますので。
後宮家へようこそ。
Extra awkward with Natsui, considering what she said to Rudolph.
当家に早く馴染まれることを期待します。
はい、私も早く慣れて夫をサポートできるようになろうと思います。
それにしても可愛いお嬢ちゃんや。
Do we get to see little Angie? There's all these opportunities. I thought maybe we'd get to see her, but it never happened.
名前はなんて言うんや？
エンジェちゃんですって。可愛らしい名前ね。
She would just be a little baby at this point, right? Because she was just born?
やはり仲直りはできなかったのかね。
よりを戻すならこの機会と思ったんだがな。親父に似て頑固なやつでな。
もうバトラ君は帰ってこないの？寂しくなるわ。
男には家を飛び出す気概くらいあってもいいもんや。そういう男はな、きっとビッグになって帰ってくるで。
そう？バトラ君にとってもう今のお家はお家じゃないもの。帰る場所はもはやそこじゃないわ。
よしたまえ、ルドルフの家の都合だ。私たちが詮索することではない。
ありがとう、クラウス兄さん。それは私たち家族の問題です。でもバトラ君がルドルフさんと一緒に暮らせる日が来るよう私も努力をするつもりです。だってエンジェのたった一人のお兄ちゃんなんですから。
ああ、バトラめ、意固地になっちまってて今は何を言っても逆効果だ。アスムのお父さんがちょっと短気な人でな、焚きつけちまってるみたいでな。
大丈夫よ。きっと遠くないうちにルドルフさんの気持ちを理解してくれるわよ。
わしらには応援しかできん。仮に帰ってこないにしてもはよう仲直りできるのを祈っとるで。
バトラが来ないとなんだかつまらねえぜ。
そうだね。早くルドルフおじさんと仲直りしてくれればいいのに。
バトラ様の気持ちを考えると辛いです。
急に家族が変わっちまったようなもんだしな。
I was hoping that we would get like different sprites because they're supposed to still be children at this point, right? Like they're definitely younger, but they look exactly the same.
家が居心地悪いってのもあるだろうぜ。
男にはいつか独り立ちしなければならない日もある。バトラ君にとってはもうそれが訪れたという話なのかもしれないよ。
そうなのですか？
そうさ、男がいつまでも両親のもとでぬくぬくしていたらかっこ悪いよ。
I mean, Battler is still a literal child at this point. Still, I would say a little young.
荒々しく巣を飛び出して一肌あげなくちゃいけない。僕もやがてはと思ってたけど、彼に先を越されてしまったよ。
一旗あげて立派になったら帰ってきてくれるのでしょうか？
ひょっとしたらもう帰ってこないこともあるかもしれないね。だってこれは彼にとって巣立ちなのかもしれないのだから。
巣立ち。
バトラ来なかったわね。
ああ、なんということだ。わらわはシャノンにきっと来るからと何度も言ってしまったぞ。きっとシャノンはバトラが来なくて深く落ち込んでいるに違いない。わらわがいい加減なことを言って希望を持たせてしまったから。
親族会議の今日張り合いに生きてきたようなもんだしね。彼女の気持ちを考えると心が痛むわ。
ありがとうございます。私は大丈夫です。
I had been reunited with the witches once again in that dream world. Though I could never remember anything during the day, now that I was in the dream world, I somehow knew this was reunion. The witches both looked apologetic, though they had tried to cheer me up by saying Badler would come today. Now that he hadn't come, it was like they'd been lying. They seemed to regret it heavily.
シャノン、
This is awkward.
お気遣いをありがとうございます。悲しくなんかないと言えばもちろん嘘になりますけれど、私は大丈夫ですから。
そうか？そうなのか？ならば良いのだが。
バトラのやつ派手に喧嘩したもんだからきっと引っ込みがつかなくなっちゃっただけに決まってるわ。
They're like, he'll for sure be there next year, and then next year happens still not back, and they're just like, oh gosh, they were just making it worse.
男は意地っ張りだもの。
そうであるとも。威勢のいいこと言って飛び出したものだから、今さら引っ込みがつかなくなって意地になってしまっただけに違いあるまい。きっと来ればよかったと後悔しているはずだ。そうとも、そうであるとも。
For some reason, they seemed nearly desperate in their attempts to encourage me. It was almost funny to watch. I couldn't help but giggle.
本当にありがとうございます。だって言ったのは皆さんじゃないですか。これは試練だって。
The truth was, I couldn't really fool myself so easily. When will he come back? When will he come for me? Which, or when, isn't the question. Will he come for me ever? If I start moping right now, the uncertainty and sadness will probably tear me apart. But they've taught me. This is a test to see whether I really have faith in him or not. The very fact I feel uncertain and anxious is a betrayal of my resolve, and of his promise to come for me someday.
ジョージ様が言ってました。
I think that's maybe why she said something like it would have been better if he had just never come back at all, because it was like she's probably going to say here George said that he left the nest. So if he just left for good, that would her being like, okay, well, he left the nest. That's it. He's going out in the world. But the fact he came back, it just like opens up those old wounds.
これはバトラさんの巣立ちかもしれないって。
そうよ。これは後ろ宮の姓を抜け出て一人の男として羽ばたくという巣立ちなんだわ。
And he took his name back, didn't he? So it was probably, she's like, all that was for what? You know, like you didn't even do that much. You ended up kind of coming back. You took the name again, and you're acting like none of this stuff even happened, where she was waiting for him for 6 years.
よくよく考えれば、私たちはまだ若いんですし、本当に結ばれようと思ったら、まだまだ社会的経験も信用も何より年齢が足りません。バトラさんが 本当に真剣に考えてくださったならばこそ、まだ迎えに来られるわけがないんです。
見事であるぞ。そうだ、その域であるぞ。よくぞその境地に達した。
達せてなんかいません。でも今はそう思うことにします。それが試練でバトラさんを信じるということなんですから。
If he had showed up today, then today I would have to inform Madam that I was quitting my job as a servant. But was I mentally prepared for that? I spent all last night worrying about whether Badler-san would come or not. I spent so much time worrying that not only was I not mentally prepared to quit my job, I didn't even prepare a letter of resignation. In short, I still don't have the resolve that I promised him that day. I'm sure that God knew that. Badler is supposed to come for me when I found my resolve. I wasn't resolved, so it's only natural he didn't come today. Yeah, it all makes sense now.
だからきっとバトラさんがいらっしゃらなかったのは、私の決意がまだだったからです。彼が来てくれるかをしっかりと信じることもできなかった私では、それも当然ですね。
おそらくバトラもそうであったに違いないぞ。そなたを迎えに行くだけの決意や覚悟がまだまだ足りなかったに違いない。
And it's so sad, the fact that he probably straight up forgot about the promise. I don't know if he did for sure, but it's definitely not in his mind right now. He's preoccupied. But it was a thing like he came back and then he just forgot all about the promise that he made to Shannon, whereas for Shannon, like, that was everything. She was like holding on, that was like her lifeline, and he just forgot about it. Once again, still don't feel like that's enough for her to just kill all of the family members. There's more to it than that, but I can definitely, the more I see it from her point of view, I can see why that would be such like a devastating thing for her.
神様は白状じゃないわ。二人の気持ちが本当に近づいた時、必ず二人を引き合わせてくれるわ。
織姫と彦星のようにな。
今年の七夕はたまたま天気が悪かった。
Hold on, it's been a while since I've had one of these things, these tips. Orihime and Hikoboshi, probably saying that wrong, in the legend of Tanabata, a Japanese festival held on the 7th day of the 7th month, Orihime and Hikoboshi are celestial lovers represented by the stars Vega and Altair. The legend states that Orihime and Hikoboshi were placed on opposite sides of the heavenly river that is the Milky Way, and forbidden from meeting, except for once per year on Tanabata, when magpies create a bridge across the river to bring the lovers together. However, if it rains on Tanabata, the rise of the river prevents the lovers from meeting, and they must wait another year.
今日のことはその程度に思おうと思います。今年の七夕はたまたま天気が悪かった。今日のことは
Wait, why
そ
did
の
that...
程度に
That was
思おう
weird.
と思います。
Just like repeated itself. That's how I'd like to think about it. I have no other choice. Badler-san.
でもバトラ君が帰ってくるのは
6年後の話だ。だいぶ先の話になる。
このままこんな辛い気持ちのまま6年も待ち続けるというのですか。来年こそはと毎年待ちわびるのは、それはもう永遠に待ち続けるにも等しいものでした。
This is the whole thing about like the witch time for a witch, right? They said like something like 1,000 years could be 6 years human time, where that's what it felt like for Shannon.
痛々しい話ね。あなたがしたと思ってる約束を当のバトラは全く意識していなかったようだし、
バトラ君はルドルフおじさんに似てキザな言い回しを好むこともありました。そんな言い回しが誤解を与えたのかも。
バトラはきっといつか後ろから女に刺されるわね。まあつまり
これはそういう物語なわけかしら。
言葉は意味が宿れば人の人生を左右することだってある。軽率な言葉は人を殺せるかもしれねえ。
Alright, well that was a very enlightening look on Shannon's backstory more. Her relationship, her friendship with Battler that kind of bloomed into like that childlike love. Going into the details of his promise to her, their shared interest in mystery novels that could have a big hint too about, you know, her crime later on. The whole thing about like the heart, the why done it. That's what all this is about, is him coming to the truth of why she is doing this. And you can really see it when it's from her point of view and having to go year after year of her waiting for him after his promise to her, how that could like break her down into depression and sadness and maybe even some anger. But there was also the comment about the Epitaph changed everything once the Epitaph was solved. So I'm assuming she was the one who solved the Epitaph. But what is it? What is the answer to the Epitaph that caused her to, like, go insane? It seems that we have just a few chapters left of this book of Beatrice. And I imagine we will be getting those answers. I'm really excited to find out what they are. So I hope you guys did enjoy this episode. And stay tuned next week for part 80. Until then, bye. Special shoutouts to my top tier patrons. Kaori Makoto, Revealing Storm, Jared Fan, Tequila Mockingbird, Izzy Ibo, Joel Oostman, Asborn Kennedy, Harry Gazif, Icognito, Locus Corollas, Wusing Chrysalis, and Zoran Ether.